Hey RJ, how we doing today?
I am doing well, my friend. How about you?
I'm doing great. We're in the AI series. We got another great one today. Why don't you tell us what we're talking about today?
Yeah, this one I'm particularly excited about because it's really about one of the things that I think is most impactful and one of the first steps for people using AI to see results, and that is the customer experience.
Yeah,
Essentially, it's like a revolution because now what AI can enable is personalization and personalized engagement at scale. So, in our last episode, we talked about like strategy and getting your data house in order and those sort of things. Well, today we're talking about taking that data and pointing it directly at your customers in a good way.
right.
And we're
Yeah,
talking about the front office, marketing, sales, and customer service. And the ultimate vision for AI and sort of customer service, customer engagement, customer management can sort of be summed up in one phrase, and it is just personalized engagement at scale in real time. That's the key thing. You're doing personalization, you're doing it at scale, and you're doing it in real time. That's what AI can really provide. And it's a win-win, right?
yeah,
Your customers get a seamless, seemingly effortless, and hopefully delightful experience while the business gets increased revenue, profit, and also retention.
yeah. Well, from the implementation side, we have to look at now, we're changing our whole paradigm. We have to look at the customer experience DNA, right? So we have to map what they're trying to do. So we have to discover what they're trying to do, what they've done. We have to learn from all those things. We have to figure out their buying patterns and then connect to all the systems that has all that information in it, right? So let's jump in. Today, we've got a couple segments to talk about. The first segment is the marketing and demand generation, right? You mentioned the personalization. I call this hyper personalization, right? Much more than we've ever done before. And the interesting concept, if you think about this, is we're moving from targeted segments, right? We've always thought about, we know our audience segment, right? We're B2B, or we're manufacturing and distribution, or we're looking at a specific audience, and we know those audiences, we know those target segments. So we plan our related products, we plan our recommendations around that target audience. Well, our target audience now is an audience of one, right? When RJ hits my site, I want to give him what you just said, the delightful experience and a tailored, hyper personalized experience for you alone, right? At the individual level.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like this is a brand new concept, right? Like there's been sort of segmentation forever, right? I mean, people have
Yeah,
been like, okay, we're going to put these type of people in this bucket, and we're going to give them this type of content, right? And that's really what traditional marketing. That's really all traditional marketing's been able to do for quite a while, right? Is sort of relying upon like static personas. We're going to put you in this bucket, and that's the bucket you're going to stay in, and that
right.
bucket's going to get this particular content. Well, AI allows for what you're talking about, which is hyper personalization, like treating every customer differently based on real time behavior, like what they're doing
Right.
right then and there, not what they did last month or last year or whatever. It's what are they doing right then and there. And it can have a dramatic and almost immediate positive impact. I look at, for example, IKEA. I was on IKEA's website just this past weekend as I was looking for, my son just moved apartments and he was looking for a new like media console. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go look at IKEA. So I experienced this firsthand in
Yeah,
that IKEA is using machine learning to build like a we picked just for you, right?
yeah,
Recommendation engine essentially in real time. And when they launch that, they've seen a 30% improvement in click through. So somebody gets here's the, we picked just for you product, and someone clicking through to go to that product detail page because they are in fact interested in that product. And they saw a 400% increase in relevant recommendations. So they're seeing this be a positive engagement with their online shoppers. And in another sort of case study and stat, NAB, which is a mortgage bank, used AI to predict the next best action. That's what AI
mhm,
does a lot of times. What's the
right.
next best action? And that drove a 40% improvement in engagement and a 50% increase in conversion. I mean, staggering numbers, but it's just, you're able to almost anticipate what the customer wants and provide that to them in real time. And that's such a powerful use of AI. I think that's one that most people are thinking about and trying to work towards.
So yeah, I mean, those numbers are incredible, but to achieve those type of numbers, I'm sure our audience today is like, well, how do we do that? So let's dive in a little bit on the technical implementation, how we do that. And the first thing is we cannot, and when I say we, IT and the team building these AI solutions, we can't rely on fragmented data, right? We have to be able to basically look into RJ's brain, right? We have to look into the customer's brain. And that means we have to unify the data. And that's all the data. So we have to take CRM data. We have to take email responses. We have to take help desk tickets. We have to take transactions and purchasing. We have to take web analytics and browsing history. And the one you just said a minute ago, they're real time as they're clicking around and doing things that they may or may not normally do. We need to be able to do that too. I was playing something the other day online and it came up and it said, hey, you normally don't do this. Are you wanting to change and do this? Normally you would do this. And I'm like, oh, very cool. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am trying to do something different today. And I was, right? And so typically what we're doing now is we're looking at using new generative AI and maybe hybrid with agents as well. So agents are watching the experience. And as the experience says, oh, RJ made a right, let me go grab, RJ made a right into the art district. Let me go grab the generative AI that knows about art and ask it to spin up some content in real time and go, hey, by the way, there's a new exhibit today in the art museum down on the left side in Jaspers. Do you want to go view that? Do you want me to book some tickets for you? Right? And it can do that. That's the kind of thing that AI is now doing very quickly to have. If generative AI can look in the brain and know that RJ is wanting to make a right down the street and it knows which restaurants and what things are down there and knows that RJ's hungry and it's lunchtime, it can turn around and go, hey, if you're going to make a right, there's 3 restaurants down there that you typically like. Do you want those or you want me to make a different recommendation today? You want to, be spicy and try something new, right? And so it can generate what we call this marketing copy on the fly and the imagery as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think those things like, serving up that content and improving that engagement when the customers are coming to you, like coming to your site is so beneficial. I think the other side of that is, what are you doing when you're looking to pursue customers, right? Like sales enablement.
Yeah.
And that's another thing like that you can use AI for to really just improve engagement and essentially accelerate the pipeline. We're already seeing that being applied in a lot of ways. Using AI to convert prospects into paying customers by, doing different things like prioritizing high value leads, providing real-time information on them, and just enabling the sales organization to be way more efficient with their time and their effort, right? Because the reality is, I've been, and you as well, we've been VPs of sales for, decades at this point.
Decade. Yep.
Yeah, a long time, right? And it's all about, you want to be efficient with your time and your team's time, and they need to be focusing where they're going to get the best return. And sales teams take so much time in either engaging with unqualified leads or doing, manual research or manual data entry. AI can fix all of that.
Yeah.
And so, for example, one thing I found that super interesting is the company Bombardier, who sells really expensive, private jets worth tens of millions of dollars, right? They actually applied AI on their website along with their, sort of using their CRM data to actually identify when someone's on the site and then do an analysis and provide real-time like qualification of that lead and information to the sales reps, so that the sales reps can use that information and analyze the buying signals and even, that person's like past flying habits, their past purchase habits, to really focus in on the traffic to their site and the leads on their site that they should be engaging with in real time, and really nothing else. And that's dramatically increased their ability to sort of, improve and accelerate their sales pipeline, because now they're engaging with those folks with all their effort. And that's been a huge benefit to them.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that's one of the things that I would imagine every sales team I've dealt with now for, like you said, decades. We spend at least, shoot, I don't know, anywhere from 33 to 66% of our time wasted on qualifying out non-qualifiable leads, right? And then we move over to the lead nurturing once we finally qualified them. But we spend so much time qualifying out unqualified leads, tire kickers, window shoppers, and especially with something like Bombardier, where they are, I'm sure they're, when you're talking about a $20 million jet, I'm sure the sales cycle isn't 3 weeks, right?
Right. Yeah,
You
exactly.
imagine how much time that, I mean, just exacerbate the amount of time wasted on wining and dining and taking them to golf outings and things like that, right? Where we do business deals by handshakes, we used to call it, right? So for B2B, I think the thing that's really interesting for me and what I've seen change, I haven't really seen it, and I would love to see this in my own sales organization. But in my own sales organization here, we've got, I think everybody pretty much these days, when we go into our Zoom calls, we let our AI note taker in, right? I think every one of us has a note taker that we take in. And it's really good afterwards about putting a summary note and action items and some things and automatically posting it to the sales channel and our CRM. And we have that all integrated and does really, really good. The part that I love that this is talking about in this hyper personalization that we don't have yet, that I would love to see, is we can have it not only listening in and transcribing the call, but as RJ tells me, I'm not sure that, and he throws up an objection, it has looked at all of the information in the call earlier. It's looked at any other information we know about RJ when he browsed the website, the email chains that we've had back and forth, his CRM record, and the meetings we've had historically. And it comes up and mentions, and AI now starts coaching us and in real time starts building the prompters and ways for us to handle objections and dynamic proposals and things like that in real time. So I can say, well, RJ, if you remember 3 meetings ago we met, you talked about this, but we decided together that your COO didn't really care about that. You just thought that. And then you're like, oh, that's right. We did say that 3 calls ago. I may or may not remember that, right? But with AI being able to look at every single piece of data and know everything that's been said, every decision that's been done, and all of the intention signals that RJ's given through all of those different in his brain now, since we're looking into his brain, we can now in real time have generative AI start providing that real-time information while our sales reps are still on the phone engaging with those prospects.
Yeah, crazy powerful stuff right there. I mean, you're basically skipping an entire meeting because you're doing all that at one time.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I know so far, we've been talking about like prospects and conversion, but there's an equal or maybe even greater opportunity with existing customers, with
Right.
customer service, right? I mean, and I think we're already seeing some of that, both just from a sort of a traditional and agentic perspective of, sort of AI at the front lines of customer service. And that's a very target rich environment for AI, because we're clearly well beyond the sort of like press 1 for sales or listen to
Right.
listen to this announcement clearly, because our options have changed. I mean, we've
Yeah.
all had a million of those things, but now this is where like engagement improves and massive cost savings can occur, right? If you even just look at like in general, it's estimated that AI and customer service is expected to save like U.S. businesses like around, I've seen numbers as high as $12 billion for what happened in 2025, and it's only growing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a huge number. And you think about, applications for this, something like, like what Amtrak's done with their Julie, right, AI virtual assistant, where it's helping people pick the right routes. Where are you going? Let me show you the options. And it's or do you have a problem with your ticket? And let me help you fix that. or adjust that. And it's, not only, did it, increase bookings by 25%, it also reduced the customer service cost by $1 million in just 1 year. Right.
Wow.
So, you're talking about like an 800% ROI, phenomenal number there, through doing it both, sort of the combination of sales and customer service, and you look at others like Saks Fifth Avenue is rolling out an agentic AI named Sophie, right? And it actually can help process a return, right? Not just like, okay, let me get your information, put it in motion, take the return, actually send out the correct size. If you bought something that's too small, you go on and you engage with it, it'll actually find if there's the stock in inventory that actually is the correct size, process the return, and actually ship it all out right then and there in real time. I mean, it's just getting through this so much faster and so much better for the customer.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about implementation of those two, right? Because Amtrak's was a few years, they've been working on it for a few years. They've used traditional AI, which if you guys remember, or if you watched our AI series in episode 1, we talked about the 4 different waves of AI, right? We have the machine learning, which started in the 50s. Then in the 80s and 90s, we had the deep learning, and then it moved into generative AI, which is really, really around 2022 with ChatGPT. And then agentic's really 2025, 2026 now. And so we've got the 4 different waves. So Amtrak was using traditional AI, which is more the machine learning and deep learning, whereas the new Saks Fifth Avenue is using the new agentic AI, right? So it's really good to look at. And we talked about this in one of our previous, I think in episode 1, you really need to look at your use and what you're doing to know which of the waves you're using. Right. I just did a podcast last week with a PhD, a scientist in biomedical, and they are still today, everything they do is deep learning. Right. And they've been doing it for 50 years and they're still using deep learning, and it's still the way they need to do and use AI in everything they do. And even with banks and credit card companies and stuff that are detecting fraud and detecting risk and stuff, that's all machine learning and deep learning, right? Where they go build the rules and go, here is what a fraud looks like. Here's what a fraud charge looks like. Here is what something looks like. Here are the rules when a charge is made here in one day, and in less than 12 hours later, 3,700 miles away in a different country, the charge is made with the same card. That might be a risk. Those types of rules can be programmed in, and that's really around the machine learning. So risk and fraud detection and things like that still today are using machine learning, deep learning. They're not outdated. So you really need to look at what we're doing. The big thing today is RJ, when he announced today's topic, he said, we're taking the data and pointing it back at the person. That's the most important part that's changed about AI today. It's not which of the 4 waves. It's the integration of all of that data, bringing it in and creating RJ's brain so that whatever wave we use, we have real-time data and we have everything in one place. We know every behavior, every purchase, every browser history, every refund, every complaint, every ticket RJ's owed. We know everything about RJ. So when RJ comes on our site and starts doing something, or RJ picks up the phone and starts complaining, we can go and say, hey, RJ, this is what you've done for the last 47 purchases. This is okay. We'll get through this together, right? We have that information.
Yeah, I mean, and I think when I think about this, particularly in sort of like the market that we're pursuing, you, Ron, at Clarity, and myself at Friends of Commerce / Friends of AI, and we're, I'm particularly targeting what I would call sort of legacy industries, and the message that I have, and I believe this with every fiber of my being, right? Like, I mean, the customer experience revolution is here. Right? It's not like it's tomorrow. It's not like it's next year. It's now. Yeah. And if you as a company are still making people wait on hold, press 1 for sales, listen closely, our options have changed. Click here to, request a quote, and it's a form that somebody gets back to you in hours or days, and it's an email back and forth. If you're still doing that, you are losing market share because your competitors are offering hyper-personalized service in real time. And that's what people want, right? People are going to take the path of least resistance. And, we've talked about these stats in the past. Buyers are willing to switch for a much better experience. And they're even willing to pay a slight premium for a better experience. So, like,
Right.
this isn't imperative. This isn't a future state. This is the battle today.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I've done many, many webinars together now. And we always say, if you're not moving forward, if you think that your existing growth is okay, your 5%, your 10% annual growth over the last 50 years, if you think that's okay, some of these new companies you and I've shown in studies where other companies now using AI are growing at 240% or 2.5 times their normal growth. Instead of 10%, they're growing 25%. You're just falling further and further behind. Like you said, you're losing that market share. So what's the call to action? Well, call to action is to reach out to RJ or myself, leave a comment, whatever you need. We'll give you a free consultation. We'd love to sit down. We'd love to look into your tech stack. We'd love to figure out how AI, we like to call it process mapping. We like to take a look at your current processes and find out, is there a place for AI to plug in and be a digital participant in your existing processes? There are some things that AI doesn't make sense to do. So we don't ram the square hole into a round peg. We don't do that, or reverse that, right? The round peg into the square hole.
We got
I just joked this morning before the call, I haven't had any caffeine yet. So RJ and I have been chuckling about that today. But anyway, reach out. We'd love to have a free consultation, see if there is a place, and we can help determine which of the 4 waves of AI makes sense. And then we can help define what a proof of concept might look like and do the crawl, walk, run with you and get you started.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people probably listening to this that still feel like AI is this big scary thing that I'll deal with tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Like, the key is you can start small, but you just have to start, right? Like, that's the key. Get started, talk to somebody, reach out to us, let us help you. It is a journey you need to begin and take just really well thought out steps, but you're never going to get to where you want to go if you don't start. So that's sort of my thing there. Now, I know we're talking about sort of the front office here and customer prospect and customer engagement. Well, in our next episode, we're going to talk about sort of internally using AI, really using it to sort of supercharge your workforce, make it almost like a, superhuman in a way, like how you can have your team empowered by AI to really dramatically improve productivity, which is, we're seeing that in, ways that AI is helping teams optimize, supply chains and manufacturing and, things like predictive maintenance and all these different things, that it's just enabling one person to really become way more valuable and productive into their organization. And that's another exciting component. So that'll be on the next episode. So make sure and, join us then. Give us a click, give us a like, and Ron, I'll let you kind of wrap us up.
All right. Well, thanks for visiting today and hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.